Tonight, Hurricane Gustav roars ashore west of New Orleans with 110-mile-an-hour winds. Now, can levees reinforced after Katrina hold back the surging waters? I'm Katie Couric in New Orleans. Tonight, what went right?
Well, it's part of the learning from Katrina. We just felt it's better to evacuate everyone.
And just as the nation is getting to know Sarah Palin, she makes a surprising revelation.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric reporting tonight from New Orleans.
And good evening, everyone. From the banks of the Mississippi River, first, the good news. Gustav is no Katrina. The hurricane is not turning out to be a repeat of the disaster this city saw 3 years ago, but the danger isn't over yet. And the first estimate of the damage puts it as high as $10 billion. Gustav came ashore at mid-morning 75 miles southwest of New Orleans. By then, most of this city had been evacuated. The hurricane, down to a Category 2 by the time it made landfall, was still packing winds of 110 miles an hour. New Orleans escaped a direct hit, but took a pounding from the wind and heavy rain. There weren't many people around to feel it, though. Massive evacuations over the weekend turned the city into a ghost town. Parts of the 9th Ward, which is still not recovered from the devastation of Katrina, were flooded again today as water spilled over levees. 2 ships and a barge in the Industrial Canal were blown off their moorings, and there was fear that they or the surging waters would breach the recently reinforced levees. But by tonight, that hadn't happened. The Louisiana National Guard is standing by and ready to move into action if needed. Gustav is weakening tonight as it moves through Louisiana and towards Texas. We have a team of correspondents deployed throughout the region. Now, Houma, Louisiana was one of the hardest hit cities, and Dave Price of the Early Show is there for us tonight. Dave?
Good evening to you, Katie. It was the small communities closest to the coast that bore the initial brunt of Gustav as it rolled into Louisiana. Now, almost everyone here in Terrebonne Parish had evacuated by the time the storm hit, but there'll be plenty of damage still around here to remind residents of the hurricane's fury when they return. As Gustav stormed ashore, bringing torrential rains, it was fire that sent emergency workers in Houma scrambling. Several buildings were left burning. Some apparently started by exploding transformers. This house fire started this morning while Gustav was rolling through and they couldn't safely get to it. This is what's left. And now they're just trying to make sure it doesn't spread to the rest of the neighborhood.
There was no way for us to cross the intercoastal canal to get here. Not the way the wind was blowing. So we just stayed put.
So when people say, you know what, it turned out only to be a Category 2, why did I leave?
This is why.
The winds and rain gained intensity as Gustav rolled through the low-lying areas here in Cajun country, downing power lines, dropping trees on houses, and turning roads into obstacle courses.
This is a lot more damage than what it was for Katrina or Andrew. I mean, a lot more.
Officials say Gustav is still a dangerous storm with the potential for flooding communities surrounding the Gulf Coast.
Most of the people did leave Lafitte. There's probably 10% of the people that might still be here, or either on boats or still in high-rise areas.
Gustav made landfall as a Category 2 with 110-mile-per-hour winds, but it was forecast to be much worse. The 7th named storm of the season moved through the Caribbean last week, killing more than 90 people in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Jamaica, and then slamming into Cuba as a Category 4 storm. But it lost its deadly punch as it quickly moved over the warm waters of the Gulf, moving too fast to regain its intensity. Now, a couple of factors worked well for this area. A decrease in intensity of this storm was a major stroke of good fortune, and the orderly and planned evacuation ensured that this storm didn't have the same results as Katrina. Imagine how different things might have been if these systems were in place 3 years ago, Katie.
That's for sure, Dave. Meanwhile, can you tell us where the storm is heading?
Yeah, the storm remains dangerous, and it's going to move through Louisiana as we head through tonight. Then it should weaken and move into northeastern Texas. But we remain concerned because if this storm begins to stall over the next few days, we could see some more extensive flooding through the region.
All right, Dave Price in Houma, Louisiana. Dave, thank you so much for your help covering this story. Meanwhile, the evacuation of the entire Louisiana coast this time around was nothing short of incredible, including 7,000 people evacuated by air overnight. Now, FEMA is reporting 45,000 people are living in more than 100 shelters tonight, and our national correspondent Byron Pitts visited one of them in Baton Rouge.
Storm as well.
For the poor, the desperate, World Miracle Place Church was just that.
For Hurricane Katrina, we slept on a bridge for 2 days.
18 members of the Bennett family, the youngest 8 months, the oldest 46, all from New Orleans, West Bank, forced to stop here when their pickup truck broke down.
We kept breaking down.
This one family, part of the estimated 1.9 million residents from southern Louisiana that evacuated, nearly 90% of the region's population. It's the largest mass movement of people in state history. Next door in Mississippi, more than 100,000 evacuated to safety. By bus, by train, by car, the exodus started voluntarily last week and became mandatory Sunday. Families dropped off as far away as Tennessee and Texas. Part of the lesson learned the hard way after Hurricane Katrina.
It's my weather radio.
A lesson not lost on 72-year-old Al Ordez. Katrina destroyed his home in St. Bernard Parish, so he and his wife moved 90 minutes north to Baton Rouge. Tonight, they have company.
My house is loaded with my children, my grandchildren. We have I have 4 blow-up mattresses.
All told, 12 relatives, a dog, a cat, and family rabbit, squeezed in his 4-bedroom home. The Ordez live in a new subdivision made up primarily of his old neighbors from St. Bernard. They moved here in search of high land with few trees.
What do y'all call this place?
Some of them call it Little St. Bernard.
Is that right?
Yes.
His 10-year-old granddaughter is grateful for Grandma's gumbo and the security of family.
I think that it's going to be really scary because this one's worse than Katrina.
As for the World Miracle Place Church, it's one of 123 shelters open statewide. Pastor Ricky Sinclair says he's simply filling the gap left by government.
People started showing up 2 days ago, all through the day, all through the night.
And they'll be here for at least another night. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Baton Rouge.
From G to H now, Tropical Storm Hannah became a hurricane today. It's now bearing down on the Bahamas. Forecasters say Hurricane Hannah is on a path that could take it to the U.S. East Coast later this week, anywhere from Miami to North Carolina's Outer Banks. And now to the letter I. Tropical Storm Ike formed today in the Atlantic between Africa and the Caribbean. Meanwhile, at the other end of the Mississippi River, the Republican National Convention opened today in St. Paul, Minnesota. It was shortened, though, and subdued because of Gustav. First Lady Laura Bush appealed to delegates to donate money to help hurricane victims. The governors of 4 Gulf states addressed the crowd by videotape, while John McCain's wife, Cindy, made her own appeal in person.
I would ask that each one of us commit to join together to aid those in need as quickly as possible. As John has been saying for the last several days, this is a time when we take off our Republican hats and put on our American hats.
And John McCain's running mate, for her, politics became personal. Sarah Palin made a surprising revelation about her 17-year-old daughter. She's 5 months pregnant. Chip Reed has that story.
News that Governor Sarah Palin's teenage daughter is pregnant came in a written statement. Palin stating, "We're proud of Bristol's decision to have her baby and even prouder to become grandparents. Bristol and the young man she will marry are going to realize very quickly the difficulties of raising a child, which is why they will have the love and support of our entire family." John McCain knew about the unwed daughter's pregnancy when he selected Palin and considered it a private matter. But the campaign made the information public today to rebut speculation on the internet that Governor Palin's youngest child, 4-month-old Trig, was really her daughter's child. That, of course, would be physically impossible if that daughter is now 5 months pregnant. Barack Obama insisted such matters are none of the public's business.
People's families are off limits, and people's children are especially off limits. This shouldn't be part of our politics.
But political analysts say that is wishful thinking.
The fact is, people are interested, voters are interested in Sarah Palin. They don't know anything much about her at all. She's brand new to the national scene.
In fact, a new CBS News poll says 66% of voters don't know enough about Palin to voice an opinion, leaving her vulnerable to being defined by first impressions.
God bless you!
But the opinion of one group appears already set in stone. Rallies this weekend were overflowing with euphoric Christian conservatives. Many conservative leaders today said their support is unshaken.
I feel for her. I feel for she and her family. I will keep them in my prayers, and I'm excited about her running for vice president, and I think she's going to make an excellent vice president.
Here in Philadelphia, John McCain spent the day in private meetings and had no public comment on this story, but his advisors say he's still completely confident Palin was the right choice. Katie?
Okay, Chip Reed. Chip, thanks very much. And coming up next, right here on the CBS Evening News, we're going to check in with our political team at the GOP convention and tell you how much of a bounce Barack Obama got from his convention. Back now in New Orleans on the banks of the Mississippi River, a new CBS News poll out tonight shows Barack Obama did get a bounce from last week's Democratic convention. His 3-point lead before the Denver convention has turned into an 8-point lead over John McCain. Meanwhile, our team of political experts is at the Republican convention in St. Paul. Bob Schieffer is CBS News chief Washington correspondent and anchor of Face the Nation. Jeff Greenfield, our senior political correspondent, and Dan Bartlett, former White House communications director, now a CBS News consultant. Geez, you guys, I spent a lot of time with your titles, but nice to see you. Bob, let me start with you. So a 5-point bounce. How big is that for Barack Obama?
You know, it's a nice little bounce, but it is nothing special. Jimmy Carter got a bigger bounce than that in 1980, and he got beat. I think what it shows is that John McCain may have been very wise to announce his vice presidential selection on the Friday after Barack Obama made his big speech. I think that did take some of the bloom off that speech. I think it's going to look like John McCain knew what he was doing when he did that.
And Jeff, I know you've been wandering around the floor talking to delegates. What's the buzz about Sarah Palin in particular?
Well, as Chip Reed said, among the Christian conservatives, there's a full-throated support. The Family Research Council, one of the most significant groups, praised the decision that she's going to get married and have the baby. I think among older, gray-beard, more traditional Republicans, there are furrowed brows here, Katie. A sense that, was the vetting process properly done? Did they know enough? Did they know, for instance, that Governor Palin had supported that infamous bridge to nowhere before she turned against it, a key part of McCain's theme about corruption and bad ways of doing business in Washington? So I think there's some concern about, is there anything else left? And we're going to find that out one way or the other, Katie.
In fact, Dan, are you surprised that this came out the way it did?
Well, I think when you look at a situation like this, as the candidate's about to go onto the big national stage later this week, when these things start percolating beneath, this is the time to get it out. Don't let it drip, drip, drip each day. So I thought it was smart by the McCain campaign to put it out early in this convention, set it aside, let the delegates rally around the candidates, both of them, and bring the type of crescendo of support to her on Wednesday night.
And Bob Schieffer, when John McCain found out about this, or the McCain campaign found out about this during the vetting process, they were unfazed?
Well, it was very interesting. This did happen during the vetting when the vetter was going down a checklist of questions to ask Governor Palin. At the end of the interview, he said, "And is there anything else we ought to know?" And she said, "Bristol's pregnant." That's how they found out. John McCain knew about this, but he thought it would be all right, as Chip said, thought it would be a personal thing, and so he went ahead and asked her to serve as his running mate.
All right. Well, Bob, Jeff, Dan, gentlemen, thanks so much. I think we'll be seeing you back in Minnesota tomorrow. Thank you all. And coming up next from New Orleans, lessons learned from Katrina put to the test today. President Bush, who was scheduled to speak at the Republican National Convention tonight, instead flew to Texas, where he visited a Red Cross center. He said the government was much better prepared this time. The anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, by the way, was last Friday, and from everything we've seen today, what a difference 3 years make. Katrina slammed into New Orleans as a Category 3 hurricane with all the makings of a disaster, hitting a city built below sea level and ringed with an aging levee system designed to keep it dry.
People didn't really think Katrina would hit. Everybody watched the blob on their TV screens, and many residents, including myself, said, you know what, I'll wait it out.
It turned out to be a huge mistake. In the lower 9th Ward and St. Bernard Parish, levees lining the area couldn't withstand the storm surge from Lake Pontchartrain. Along the Industrial Canal, concrete walls were breached by water surging over the top and undermining shaky construction underneath. Pumping stations designed to serve as backup failed. The New Orleans Superdome, where many fled on their own, became both haven and hell. The weakest of the weak perished, and the government couldn't help. Now it appears Gustav will not be history repeated. Last time, the National Guard lost many of its choppers and water vehicles to the same flooding. This time, the staging areas were on higher ground or outside the city.
Leave it alone!
And unlike the post-Katrina days, there's been very little looting. Law enforcement on the streets of New Orleans has almost doubled. The infamous levee system, where the 3 most serious breaches occurred, have undergone some repairs. The holes have been fixed and strengthened. The walls have been built up an additional 3 feet and lengthened. And new pumps have been installed for better drainage. While a lot has gone right, there are some things you simply can't predict in a hurricane. 2 naval supply ships scheduled to be scrapped and a barge came untethered in this canal behind me, and there's real fear one might actually knock through this levee. And as you can see, there's already water spilling over the top. That's why some experts caution it's too early to say New Orleans has dodged a bullet. There are still miles of levees along the coast that are so poorly built and stressed, Brinkley calls them Lego levees, and protective wetlands still need to be restored.
If a Category 5 modern levee and dike system isn't built in the coming decade or so, New Orleans is still a very dangerous place to be during hurricane season.
A theory that wasn't truly tested by Gustav, but could be next time. Coming up next, some of the youngest residents who just couldn't leave. Back now in New Orleans, Hurricane Gustav continues to weaken tonight as it churns northwest through the state of Louisiana. It's now then headed to Texas, where it could dump up to 20 inches of rain by Thursday. Tomorrow, authorities begin a systematic search for possible victims of the storm. 50,000 National Guard troops have been activated to help with the relief efforts, and one private insurance analyst estimates as much as $10 billion in damage all along the Gulf Coast. Now, nearly 2 million people were evacuated from the region in advance of Hurricane Gustav, but some couldn't get out. Harry Smith now with their story.
As Hurricane Gustav howled its way through New Orleans, there was only one truly safe place to be: Children's Hospital.
It's okay.
Fully staffed and with fuel and food enough to last a month, the hospital wraps itself around its patients and their families like a cocoon.
He's feeling good today.
Yeah. Storm? What storm?
To be honest, it's been like a normal day here. In this room, it's been like a normal day. So that has made it really easy for us, just as mommy and son.
Tracy Bailey's son, Cameron, had open heart surgery last Wednesday. Evacuating him would have been dangerous and, frankly, unnecessary.
I want to see the ultimate peekaboo right now.
Peekaboo.
Peekaboo. Oh, no.
Children's Hospital made it through Katrina with just 2 broken windows. The doctors and nurses move in during the storm, as do the families, so the healing continues.
He's going to be good for a dozen years or so. He's going to do really good, and he's going to thrive. He's going to grow. He's going to be able to play.
11-year-old Lexi Hales has been at Children's for 42 weeks. Her mom, Lenora, was far more worried than she was.
Were you worried at all when the storm was coming? How come?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Because I like rain.
What about all the wind, though, and everything else? You didn't worry at all?
No.
Making a hurricane day seem like any other day is part of why pediatric nurse Patty Cadella is here.
I love being a nurse, and it's important to me, and the babies can't leave, so we're here to take care of them.
Patty watches over Jude Trahan, born 15 weeks premature. It means the world to his father, Mike.
Well, we've peeked outside, looked around, but, you know, all's going well in here. The staff is doing a great job of keeping everything going smoothly and not missing a beat.
Not missing a beat in the heart of New Orleans. Harry Smith, CBS News.
And that is the CBS Evening News. I'll be back with a special primetime hour beginning at 10 Eastern, 9 Central on Gustav and the Republican National Convention. Until then, I'm Katie Couric in New Orleans. Thanks for watching. Good night.